Okay, we'll talk about Extranet. Extranet, the way we use it today, I'll share with you both the today and the tomorrow, right? Because there's a bit of a roadmap for us. So today, this is what we're doing. So we basically have a core, basically an instance of SharePoint for our customers. And they come in and they land and they come into the site. And then obviously it's individual access and they get to the sites that they can only see. And then we maintain, the majority of what we do is related to projects. And somebody mentioned you work on projects with customers and that sort of thing. And that's what we do. So we have in essence every shipment that we make becomes a project for us.
Because it's an installation project. And for every installation project, PRTM, you're in the world of projects, right? It's one per project and then an aggregation of projects for customer. And so then they can live there forever, right? So you have documentation, you have issue tracking, you got deliverable tracking, you got Microsoft project plans, all of that stuff lives there. And you start getting some dashboards going and that sort of thing. So that's actually been a wonderful tool for our field operations team that does the installations, and a great feedback from customers, right? So that way, they don't need to call anybody. They go there and retrieve the information they need and maintain all of that stuff. So that's what we do today. I think I'm going to skip this one, but because I have a little more. So here's a key thing on extranets, because extranets are different than intranets, obviously, right? You worry about more things, and that's really the difference to me. Number one is security. Obviously, it's like you don't want one customer to see what the other one is doing. So that's a paranoia. Aside from just a valid person coming in. So you have to have a nice layer of security, authentication, and then administration, because you don't know who lives on the other side of the extranet. So you have to have a way that you can empower somebody at that site to say, okay, you're going to administer all the accounts, and then further, we're going to have some touch point, right, to make sure that we take out stale accounts. Because you don't know what kind of policy they're going to have on their end related to maintaining IDs and passwords and that sort of thing. You may do a wonderful job in-house, but in our case, we don't know what the hospital's policy is when somebody leaves. Do they delete them from their systems? I'm sure they do, but do they delete them from our systems? Probably not, right? So you have to kind of police that, and that's a big deal. Obviously, because there's really no training for customers, right? You just tell them, here's the URL. So ease of use is 100% important, right? You just want them to come in and use. You want to be able to connect it to the things where your data is. In our case, we have so much information now in the intranet, it has to be able to connect to it, and you can push that information there. High availability, of course, and be able to scale in terms of, the scalability factor here is key, because you want more customers and you want more data for the customers and so on. And then legal considerations on this, and because we are HIPAA compliant, and I don't know if any of you know what that means, but obviously the government regulates our personal information that hospitals have, and so if you have that on our site, we have to be extremely careful on how secure that information is and that sort of thing, right? Okay, so those are our considerations, and obviously what we're after for customers, distributors, and suppliers. I'm sure these are very common across enterprises, but for customers we want self-service capabilities, like be able for them to open their own service tickets, contract information, order status, status of invoices, reports, performance indicators across the board. Distributors, we generate leads for them. We want to be able to have rewards programs for them. We want to be able to have the tools and for configuration of products and basically all the selling things that they need. And suppliers, of course, all the way from forecast level of collaboration to quality. So we want to get data as well. So we want them to share the data that they have related to quality. We will come up in some agreements so we can move their data to our site so that we can consume it internally, right? Because suppliers, I don't know if you deal with much suppliers, but they want to have it on their site. So now you end up with 30 of these sites that you have to worry about. So it's a tug of war and a arm wrestling at the table to see, well, no, I really want my site because I'm paying you. So please, pay attention and get the data to my site. Okay, that's our logo inside with the little thing moving. We also have an animated version of it just to keep it interesting. That's not it. That's a static version of it. But basically the takeaway from this picture is we want our intranet to feed our extranet, right? So we don't want to create separate content so that now we have two versions of something, and that's the problem that we're trying to cure. So we want to be able to just have a publish once, use many model, right? So that we can minimize the amount of work and the issue with currency in terms of documentation.